here with Mike Foster, Killer Dana, also known as the OG of Dana Point.
One of many.
One of many, but you know, really what you've done with Killer Dana, which is a surf shop, but so much more than a surf shop, right? You've built this culture and community, right? And it's almost like nostalgic.
Thank you for that acknowledgement.
What you have done, right? So let's talk a little bit about your shop. You've expanded, right? You've ridden the wave of good economies and bad economies.
Yes.
But I want to talk about, like, you know, what keeps you going, right? How do you recruit the next generation of surfers, right? It's like Harley Davidson, right? All of their people are dying at the same time and there's no new riders, right? So let's talk a little bit about Killer Dana is a surf shop. It is not only a surf shop, it is the surf shop, right? And Dana...
We don't think of ourselves that way, but thank you.
From an landlocked outsider from Colorado, it is a gathering place for like-minded people, right? Which creates a sense of community. It's a destination, right? Like real surfers, like we were talking about earlier. So let's talk about, like, I was on your
You've really done your homework. I'm very impressed because everything you're talking about right now is exactly where we're at right now. It's kind of crazy. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a beautiful story. And you've got this, the video on your website I found very touching, right? Because you talk about the surfers from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s who really laid the foundation for the sport and the culture and all of the things that go around it. So let's talk about Killer Dana.
Okay, let's do
and
it.
how you got the name, right? Like, it's just such a cool story.
Well, it is a cool story. And Killer Dana was a famous surf break that people, you know, traveled from around the world to surf at. So when the harbor was put in, it was a big deal. There was protest and some attorneys. And so it got rid of a world-class wave. And so that was a big deal. And it was also, Killer Dana was a big part of the innovation of surfboards and progression and
the location.
And it made Dana Point a destination, right? Before that, Dana Point was hunting and fishing. It was a hunting and fishing destination.
Hunting for what?
Yeah. So this is the Dana Point Surf Club logo, right?
That's an elk.
Eric Diamond. This is the original ad for Dana Point.
No way.
Yeah, hunting and fishing.
So because I just know it as like this surf central, right?
Yeah, so it kind of morphed into that.
Yeah.
You know, but I think Gary Wright came up with the idea to open a shop called Killer Dana out of homage to the famous surf break. And at first, a lot of the old timers, they kind of pulled him aside and said, hey, leave it what it was. Don't commercialize it. And he did a really good job of building the brand. Right. And then in 2008, economy was bad. And
it was.
And Killer Dana was doing a bunch of online. You know, you don't make money on surfboards. That's the Costco chicken, right?
Right.
And so they were doing so much online business. And then the 2008 economy hit. And then all the brands went, wait, we have these couple of people that are selling all of our stuff online and killing it. We should be doing it ourselves.
Right.
So that was also a first step of change in the surf industry.
Right, like taking it, like the brick and mortar onto online, like so many retailers.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so La Jolla Group O'Neill purchased Killer Dana. They wanted to try their hand at retail.
Yeah.
Well, not at retail, at a retail surf shop, because they're really good at retail. And if you look at O'Neill's standalone shops, they're 80% O'Neill, 20% other. So they have 20% other vendors. Killer Dana has 220 vendors, right? And
it's an enormous shop.
Yeah, and we scaled it down when we first got it. So O'Neill ran Killer Dana for from 2008 through 2016, and a lot of the people at La Jolla Group O'Neill are from Chicks. My wife was trained by Jim Chick personally. She was the youngest manager at Chicks.
Wow.
So a lot of the Chicks people went to O'Neill, and now a lot of them are in the surf industry. So there's a platform there.
Right.
So when O'Neill purchased Killer Dana, they called my wife and said, hey, we bought the surf shop, Killer Dana. Dana Point, you know, we need you to go in and clean it up and kind of, you know, take the Pacifico beer caps off the ceiling. And so 2016 came, their lease was up, and it was killing their buyers. The person they kind of had running it wasn't into it.
Yeah.
So they were going to close it or sell it.
Yeah.
And I grew up on Violet Lantern. And so when I found that out through a friend of mine and through my now wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, that La Jolla Group was going to close Killer Dana, I became obsessed.
Yeah.
Like more than I've ever been obsessed about anything in my life. It was kind of crazy.
Okay, stop there for a second, Mike. So let's talk, we're talking about the shop and the evolution of Killer Dana, Dana Point, the culture, the breaks, the harbor. What is your story?
My story is I'm a guy from Utah. It's kind of crazy the ties that I have to Dana Point. My mom surfed for a while, and she used to tell me she was a surfer. And I'm like, Mom, you lived in Anaheim. But most surfers lived in Anaheim, Pasadena.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And my mom and dad's first overnight date was here.
So you have you have roots here.
Yeah. So, and then my dad ended up here. And so he brought me here from Utah in 1976. And I was straight from Utah. I did not immediately blend in.
That's a weird migration pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. I got heckled for first couple of weeks. I had the bowl cut and, the Western rhinestone shirt and the bell bottoms, and, so I did not fit immediately into the culture. I was actually quite shocked.
Right.
The people that I met, and he had met a lady that had some Hawaiian family in San Clemente that are core. So when they first saw me, they were like, they made me earn my stripes. So I grew up here, and I had a landmark of we had a bus stop. We used to pencil fight. I would take the pencils and put them in the holes of the stop sign. And it was there for 47 years. So I had my own little landmark. But I just grew up in a great time, in a great place. And I kind of quickly morphed into the culture here and the lifestyle.
Yeah.
It was such a great time to grow up.
Yeah.
It was safe. It was just a different world.
Yeah.
And seeing everything progress, action sports. And Dana Point is just a little bit different. We're all family. Laguna, Dana Point, San Clemente, San Juan, Laguna Niguel. We're all a big community.
Right.
But there is a difference in San Clemente culture, Dana Point culture, and Laguna culture.
Absolutely.
There really is.
It is.
Yeah. And it's no longer, there was a time where it was like Angels, Dodgers, Raiders, Broncos. And it's not like that anymore, But Dana Point has just always been a very laid back place.
It is.
Where you get to be yourself.
Yeah.
People I think are very accepting of, whether you surf good or not good or whatever you're doing. People I just think are in Dana Point. There's, for some reason, they're very open to everybody.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like coming down the coast from Newport, like the chill factor increases as you go south, right? And, just a couple of miles separate Dana Point from Laguna Beach, from Newport, Costa Mesa, all of that. And so there's I've always been really enamored with how the cultures have emerged so distinct among the different cities along the coast out here.
And a lot of people, you say Dana Point, and they'll be like, "Oh, I heard of it, but I don't know where it is." Right? We're kind of the hidden gem still.
Seriously, and you don't
in between
want that
San
many
Diego and
people.
LA.
Yeah, no, and it is a gem right here in Dana Point, and just the surfing and the beauty. So okay, so that's you came from Utah.
Grew up here, I became a decent surfer.
There's pencils and a stop sign.
My dad had an automotive shop right across from Ola Mendez.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then he moved it up into Dana Point. But, so we'd surf in the morning and then go ride motorcycles or bicycles or skateboards. And so it just led to, for me, I became a better motorcycle rider than surfer. So I went on to race competitively most of my life.
What did you race?
I've raced 6 different forms of motorcycles, but I had my pro license in 2 different forms. I had a hand in raising my first 2 brothers with my mom and dad, same mom and dad. And then my dad had a second litter late in life. So I took them in at 8, 9, 10 years old, and they all 3 became professional flat track racers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's out of there's 6 of us, 5 of us have had our pro license and done pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are the OG.
Well, there was so much riding here, like legends.
Yeah.
Jeff Ward, Ron Machine, there was hills, Novies.
Ortega.
Yeah, the tomato fields where the outlets are was a track.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
where the Monarch Golf Course is. That was a motorcycle track. I learned how to ride 4 lots down from here
No way.
by Olamendi's. That was where I learned how to ride a motorcycle.
That's like a block away.
Yeah. So that's just kind of all part of my emotional tie to
this area.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so let's talk about Killer Dana and how you became a part of this, and what, like, the other question I have for you, like, and I think you'll probably get there, is, how do you stay relevant, right, in such a strange moment in history, right? Like, what you do is kind of nostalgic.
The universe is powerful, man. You have done it's so crazy that you're asking these questions, because it is, so La Jolla Group wanted to close Killer Dana. I became obsessed, and I pitched it. They were so open with their books, and La Jolla Group O'Neill, they are not the big bad wolf in the industry.
Right.
They wanted Killer Dana to stay open.
Yeah.
They have a great friendship with my wife. So they worked very hard so that we could make it happen. I pitched it. I was going to do it originally with 4 other locals. And when I really dug into it, I was like, guys, this is not a good financial investment. This is completely emotional. And between the 4 of us, we don't have enough to do it properly. So I pitched it to 16 or 17 other investors, successful people from Dana Point. The most heard question that I got was, can we buy the building? No. Okay.
It's always going to be the building.
Right. Because the financials didn't, look great. And at the last minute, a customer from Littleton, Colorado, that comes here a lot,
place.
They're kind of becoming empty nesters. So they were planning to have, spend a lot of time here. He came in, saw the 4 lease signs on the building, and was like, what's going on? So I got the call from Carrie, and which she wanted to be here, but we have a lot going on. She said, hey, there's a guy here that really wants to talk to you about what's going on. So I met with him, and he's a very sharp, calculated businessman.
Right.
Very successful.
Is he a VC? Like, what kind of investor did you take on?
Just a good guy.
Like a silent investor.
Yeah. Well, is
he a partner?
It's a partnership.
Okay.
And he has more of it than we do. He put more in. And so he put me through the paces.
Yeah.
For weeks. Okay, this.
Yeah.
And I learned some stuff from him. He goes, have you done a cash flow chart? I didn't know what a cash flow chart was. I haven't done that before. So I did it, had an anxiety attack over it. And so, but he was a fan of Killer Dana. And so we had 2 weeks to make a decision. And he calls me and we're talking, and he thought originally from the beginning I would be a part of it. And I was only doing it for another friend and my wife to keep Killer Dana. It wasn't a plan for me to work the shop, And so he says, okay, Mike, tell me how long you think it will take for me to make the original investment back.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't answer that question.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you mean? Like you've been in the books, you've done this, you've talked,
Yeah.
And I said, well, if I answered that question, I'd be telling you that you're going to make your money back. And I can't look you in the eye and tell you that.
Yeah. So they invested. So he decided
he did the initial jump. I had worked out a great financing deal with La Jolla Group to finance it. They had licensed out killerdana.com to Surf Fanatics, and they still had a couple of years on that. So I was like, well, then we can't buy that. Right. So we financed it for a while, and then it just kind of morphed into, my wife going from being a merchandiser to so we did the acquisition, and then my wife and I really truly became partners on paper a little bit later. There was kind of a plan set forth, and we didn't know what we were doing. Yeah. My wife was a merchandiser.
The partnership is actually like an operating agreement between 2 people, right?
Yeah, we just all jumped in. Yeah. And the great thing is that we bring different things to the table.
That's exactly right. And that's why the guy from Littleton invested in you, right? He wasn't investing so much in the business. It was you, right? Because you believed, right? Like when you're an investor, you look for people who are willing to give it everything they have, right? It's never, a business is never enough. It's always the people behind the business. That's how you get your money.
Yeah. And, my wife and I have been hearing that more and more, especially with this move that we did into the Rite Aid building.
Yeah, the big one.
We don't see it that way, right? We love the brand. It's become our life.
Yeah.
We're just grinding.
Yeah.
We're not good.
What does that mean when you say just grinding?
We haven't had a vacation in 4 years.
That is a lot of grind.
Excuse me. Yeah. And, we don't, Steve and Lee Dunn, he's financially brilliant. And it's really great because anytime we have a topic, the three of us talk about it. There's never any arguing.
Yeah.
We discuss it.
Yep.
And then it's either all three of us are in or it's 2-1.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a great balance. And he is a great guide for big picture.
Right.
You know, what are we striving to do? Where Carrie and I are boots on the ground,
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
We never thought that, you know, being part of Killer Dana would throw us into the politics.
Yeah,
We do a lot of community stuff. And
Yep.
that kind of goes into what you were saying about the financial ups and downs, because that's also part of the grind. You know, the first year we bought it or saved it, we had nothing but rain.
I read about that. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
then we had sharks.
Right. You had sharks?
Oh yeah. We were,
That's
you know,
cool.
and the news stations are with helicopters
Right.
showing that there's a guy,
Right.
you know,
So
out paddleboarding
it's like-
with 20 great whites around him. And we're like,
Totally.
no, stop. So we have, not to act like a victim, but we have absolutely had every year challenge. Then we
Right.
had two good years, a year and a half, where it was like, okay. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, we had just signed the lease for our second location in the harbor. And we did that because our landlord at Del Prado was playing games with us. We didn't know our future.
Yeah.
Like, we were very vulnerable.
Yeah.
So we went for it, opened the second store in the harbor. Right when we signed the lease, COVID hit. And I got laid off from my real job. And they had said, you know, give us 3 or 4 months, we'll bring you back. And I was like, okay, we'll build the harbor store,
Right.
get it staffed. It took 6 months for them to call me back.
Yeah.
And at first, my wife and I were like,
So Killer Dana was a side hustle for you.
it was a complete side
Okay.
hustle. It was, I never imagined that I'd actually be running it or working it full time,
Yeah.
or, you know, or be as vested as I am. It was only because I believed that Killer Dana needed to stay alive in Dana Point,
Yeah.
because of it's a great brand and it tells the story. It keeps Killer Dana alive. It was just an emotional thing.
Yeah. And it's an anchor for the community, you know?
Yes. So we're starting. Yes. The community support has been incredible.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so then we got the phone call for me to get my, you know, my real paying job back, and told my wife and I were having a glass of wine, and I said, psh. And then she looked at me and she just went, what? Like, there's no way I can do 2 stores without you.
Right.
So that's when the dynamics changed, because I'd been at the shop now for a few months, you know, and so we made the decision and we sold all the nice personal items that we have. You know, we had a boat in the harbor and some cars, and so we sold everything and kind of restructured the partnership with Steve Dunn, who's a very fair, loving guy. And that's when it really kind of got serious. You know, that's when I was like, okay, I'm in it full time.
Right.
And so we've just been working. And I think, you know, you touched on, you know, what separates Killer Dana maybe, or our culture. And I think a big part of it is my wife and I are very passionate about growing up here. You know, she was a harbor rat. And, you know, we would surf Doheny, and then we would go to Capo Beach and get our thrifty ice cream. Or we'd surf Doheny, go to A's Burgers.
Right.
And then we'd go to where Denny's is, which was Luigi's Pizza, and we'd play pinball. And so I think it kind of morphed into, kids today don't get that experience. People today don't get that experience,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so that's what we've always tried to do. My wife has some social anxiety stuff, and as do I. So we recognize that in our staff and our kids. And our reward has been, as you touched on, watching them blossom.
Right. Right. That's a big deal. You can't really, you know, it's hard to put that in a business plan.
Yeah. And when you have parents, sorry, all my friends that know me.
No, it's all right.
When you have parents call you or come and see you and say, thank you for bringing our son or our daughter out of their shell.
Yeah.
And then you get to watch them go through high school and then to college. This year, we had 5 employees return from college that are working at Killer Dana for the summer.
Wow.
We have some local legends, some local pro surfers. They come to us and they say, we want, you know, our daughter to work here.
Yeah.
Shout out to Casey Curtis. You know, and some of the reps in the industry, you know, there's a rep in San Clemente. He's very well respected in the industry. He could call any surf shop. and everybody would be open to it. And he came to us.
Yeah.
His daughter's first day was 2 days ago, and so that's been our reward.
Right.
And getting the community support through it. At one point we had to fire somebody that was a part of Killer Dana for a long time. That was a very negative, dark cloud for a while. Yeah. And the community has rallied back behind the brand. And so it hasn't been financial rewarding at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we get to go to work every day. We get to drive over the overpass, be by the ocean. Yep. We get to be with a lot of great people, a lot of great kids. We get to pet dogs and have fun with kids. And,
right.
And so that's at times when we are so exhausted and on slow days, economies being slow, those are the things where we look at each other and go, but we have this.
It's okay. Yeah, we have this.